One man who certainly made quite a name for himself in recent years is Ireland's very own Diarmuid Gavin. He's been one of the stars, if you like, of the Chelsea Flower Show. And Diarmuid is giving a number of lectures and presentations here at the RDS, and he joins me here now. First of all, Diarmuid, I suppose when people buy a house, build a house, the garden is the sort of the last thing they think of. It's all about the walk-in wardrobe, the new modern flash kitchen,
That's
whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Do you find now that people are a bit more focused on developing the garden as part of the overall look of the house?
People have become very aware of gardens and garden styles and how they use their gardens. It's all changed in the last 30 years. A garden was something that you grew, maybe a bed of roses, some bedding plants, and then the end you had a patch for vegetables. And now people, they really consider it as an integral part of the home. They want to use their gardens for much longer in the year than they used to. They want to be able to dine outside, they want to be able to entertain, they want to be able to relax and escape. And even during the difficult years, people had this idea of nesting, so we retreat back into our houses and people wanted to create comfort gardens, more old-fashioned gardens. So I think more than ever before, people are aware of the potential and interested in exploring that potential.
Yeah, I mean, do you find that with housing developers, they're just more or less concerned with just building the house, and the garden is actually overlooked as, if you like, as a key feature in the overall look of the house?
During the heady days, the crazy days,
the awful days,
Tiger, the garden was integral to it, and often, most of our work was done in this country anyway for property developers who would want to sell the idea of that room outside as part of the overall package. Now, yeah, it's fallen way back, and you're lucky if you get some seeds sprinkled on the soil to create a lawn for you.
Sure. Do you sense that at your end, that in this country things are actually picking up in terms of, growth in the economy?
I think so. Well, coming to a place like the Ideal Home, I've been here for the last few years. I have a long heritage of working with STL exhibitions. I was just talking to Sean, reminiscing how I got permission to be locked in overnight 20 years ago as I built a show garden. I broke out to go for a pint and the police caught me breaking back in to finish my garden.
You thief.
So I've been coming here, I've seen the ups and downs for the past few years. To come here this year, the place is a buzz and people are into the aspirational now. They really want to enjoy life again. They want to spend, they want to extend, they want to buy, and they want to furnish. So I think there is an upturn in the economy. Most of our work, however, is done abroad. Most of our work we're based for our garden design work down in the south of France and in London. So we do a little bit in Ireland, but not a huge amount.
Do you find with the type of designs that you do that really the average Joe and Mary in this country, you are beyond their budget? That you're more akin to the stately home or the flash hotel out in the countryside?
Possibly. We do a range of products with Kilsaran, who are this wonderful paving company from County Meath. So we still supply the market, and I do a lot of writing in the art, and we do a few gardens. We're doing a couple of gardens around the RDS at the moment. We're doing a garden in Galway. We're doing a couple of gardens up the north of Ireland. But yeah, mainly our work tends to be quite big. When we do television series, we deal with smaller gardens when we design gardens for television. But yeah, most of the work is quite big.
So if Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien from number 24 Main Street, wherever in Ireland, says, God, we have a big garden, we'll ring Diarmuid Gavin. Is that the type of person you can cater for, or is it the big stately home?
Well, it's certainly not the big stately home. They'd find their shotgun and if they saw me coming up the driveway, and they'd aim it very carefully and they'd get rid of me. Yeah. They wouldn't want me messing with their formality or the gentle pasture land that they have. Generally we don't do small suburban gardens in this country. It's not something we have the capacity to deal with, because even in a small garden there's a huge amount of work. So most of our work, we might be on site. We have about 25 lads on site in one garden in a place called Ez in the south of France for a year. So most of them are very big builds.
You would have made, if you like, your name at the likes of the Chelsea Flower Show and so on. How competitive is the game that you're in? I mean, people would know you, but are there hundreds of other Diarmuid Gavins out there chasing the same market as you?
I don't know. I think I'm lucky enough to have an identifiable style that certainly isn't for everybody. So I would be seen as somebody who floats ideas, does the bigger stuff at Chelsea. I don't never cared about fitting in with convention or winning medals or any of that sort of thing. I use those shows to say something new about gardens, and clients then will self-edit. They either want something that's a bit quirky, that's a little bit different. I have a different way of looking at things. So I don't know that I'm in the same market. Most people who are contemporary gardeners like to play it slightly safe, and I don't care about playing it safe. I want to have fun and explore, a different potential, or find something that's new or unusual within a site and within a client's imagination.
Okay, the average Diarmuid Gavin garden, what sort of money are we talking about for you to turn it into the way you'd like it, or is it all determined on budget?
I think it's definitely all determined by budget. Now we do a lot of, I'm doing a school garden for the school my daughter attends at the moment. We do a lot of, let's say, charity gardens and all this. So all our gardens aren't massive. And of course we do the dirty old towns thing. We've created or worked with communities to create little parks or small gardens around the country. So all the work isn't big and expensive, but the prices of our gardens, I suppose, they'd be from 250,000 to a few million, I suppose. So they are, I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, so Diarmuid Gavin is not, if you like, within the money range of the average Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien.
I think the paving is, the books are, and anything else we do in that regard. For Mr. and Mrs., our job is to inspire, and then if we want to keep all the people we have working, we work in different places. So.
And do you get the average Joe and Mary ringing you up, inquiring?
Occasionally, and if I'm not able to do a job, I certainly have a load of colleagues that I trained with in the Botanic Gardens in Glasnevin who I'd be able to recommend and say, well, what do you want? Well, this type of person might fit your brief very, very well. So it's important to inspire people and keep people happy. And everybody in this industry, this is a garden design, landscaping, landscape contracting, they've all been through the toughest times of any sector, because gardens have been seen as a luxurious kind of product. So it's really great when anybody does contact, or when we see new green shoots in our local economy, let's say.
Yeah. The Republic of Ireland has a very high rate of bungalows, one-off housing, big garden. Britain less so, because you have big urban areas. France, for example, has a lot of wealth, so is Germany. How do we as a nation compare with the others?
In terms of our gardens, we compare incredibly well. We have a huge interest in gardening in this country. That's probably because of our climate. In France and Germany, they have these extremes. It gets very hot during the summer, but it can be absolutely freezing during the winter. So we can grow plants that have originated in so many places all the way around the world. And we're because we live next door to Britain, and they're a nation of plantaholics and plant lovers, that spread to us. Initially we would have started off growing agricultural plants, crops, whatever. But now people are well educated in gardens. And because we love the land, we love to dig, we have an association with the land, I think we're really up there. In places like Italy, where they have fantastic gardens left over from the Renaissance period, people aren't garden mad. They do use parks and plazas and whatever, but they don't have it in their blood like we do have in these islands.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up there, Jim, but before I go, how does the rest of the year look for you in terms of the big shows, Chelsea, all the like?
I'm not doing any of the big shows this year, probably not even going to the Chelsea Flower shows. We're concentrating on, we're coming up to planting stage in a lot of our gardens in France. We're about next week or the week after next, we're about to start a series of courtyard gardens on the top of Harrods in London. So it's a year for getting on with real work, having a bit of fun with that.
Okay. Diarmuid Gavin, thank you very much indeed for joining us. That's Diarmuid Gavin, one of the great Irish success stories in terms of garden design and manicuring grass and so on, and certainly a name we'll be hearing lots more of in the years to come.